A river runs under it, this old mill. A river full of fishes and weeds and frogs and stuff. And over the river is a wooden bridge that leads to the seats where the people cross.
I once read that bricks can record sound, and I often wonder what it would be like to kind of play back all of the plays that have happened in this place, all in one great babble, and listen to them all, because there must be thousands, and remarkable things must have happened. You could hear the audience's conversation as well, and their reactions to it, a kind of critical and dramatic maelstrom. It would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Okay, well, this is the Watermill Theatre. It's a beautiful building, as you can see. It's been here for about 300 years in various forms. It started out as a corn mill. It's been a fulling mill, which is when you take the grease out of sheep's wool, and it's also been a paper mill, supplying vellum paper to pretty posh solicitors in London, I think, at the time. And now it's a theatre factory. We make theatre here. We make plays, we write them, we put them on, we tour them all around the country and all around the world, in fact. But it's interesting, I think, that the factory use of the building carries on in that way. So there are all sorts of clues lying around the building as to its previous uses, its industrial use, certainly, but also in later times its use as a theatre. There's the Tin Man over there, there are sculptures in the river, there are willow sculptures on the lawn. There's the wonderful poem in the mosaic. Tucked into the corner is a giant willow heron that few people ever come across, and it's quite shocking because it's so big and scary. You can see the old entrance of the building there, the white door, which is where the workers used to go in. It's now our mill store. And you can see remnants of what the building was used for lying around, the old main drive wheel there. There are various shafts and mill wheels. One thing our audiences don't generally know is that under the lawn here is a 200-year-old brick tunnel, which takes quite a bit of weight, obviously, through which the mill stream flows. Terrific body of water every day, actually, coming out under this bridge here and out and round back into the Lambourne again. All sorts of things that leave a record of what's been going on in and around this place for the last 200 years. So we're in the foyer of the Watermill now. This was built by David Gollins, who owned and worked in the theatre with his mother, Judy Gollins, in the 60s. So this is when this was built. It's a beautiful, beautiful space, much loved by the audience, and marked by this fantastic spiral staircase and this single piece of oak, which goes all the way up to very nearly the roof. There's just 8 inches short at the top, so they had to put a block on to hold the roof. Okay, so this is the coolest place in the Watermill in terms of temperature, because of the rush of water coming beneath us on this wooden bridge we're now standing on. And there's this wonderful petrified mill wheel here, which, when it turned, must have produced a massive amount of power. Obviously it doesn't move now, but there is this constant roar of water going beneath it. There's also, of course, a ghost story. There's always a ghost story in a theatre. It's always chilly in here, and I said that's maybe because of the water, but it could be because years ago, so it's said, a little girl was sent down there to clear the weeds from the wheel and was swept away and drowned in the tunnel I spoke of earlier and was found at the end of the mill race. Now, various people who've worked here have said that they've been terrified of something creeping up behind them. I've felt it myself, but I'm not sure. We're all theatrical types and our imaginations are pretty vivid, but you never know. So we're inside the auditorium now, inside the factory, and the interesting thing about this space is that it's 3 floors made into one great big room, really. The main machine floor of the old mill, where the wheels would have turned, would have been supported by these massive beams which would have crossed the building. But David Gollins removed that floor to make this wonderful space, which is very reminiscent really of a Victorian music hall, somewhere a bit like Hoxton Hall in East London. And it's remarkable how easily a mill can turn itself into a theatre. Okay, I'm up here in the slit seats on the edge, and the interesting thing about being so close to the roof is that you can see the old grain chutes that came down from the floor above. There's one there, one over there. There's also a winch just over there, and some sort of pulley device over here. And these things share the roof with the very modern theatre lights that are up here now. It's a strange kind of harmony that's created in this old mill, I think.
A river runs under it, and that river is life. And every life is more than a string of days. What about the thoughts, the loves, the jokes, dreams and schemes? Small thin hopes, big fat despairs, the cares of a community, all on our little bridge. Acting at the Watermill it's such a privilege. It's got so much history, and I mean the first time I personally stepped through the doors, came upstairs to the dressing room, you get a certain feeling come over you of like you're in a part of history, which you are, and what they've done to it, how they've transformed it, and how popular it's become really speaks well of its character. Vis-à-vis the servants. There was a certain degree of coercion when I was alive, I have to say. It was a long walk on a wet day up that hill to perform for her ladyship. And yet we still did it. Back then we had no choice. These were the things we had to do for our living, for our money, to support our families. Of course, there is a lot of waiting off stage when you're awaiting her ladyship's arrival. Certain things you have to do in life. This was one of mine.
Okay, well you join me now on the Watermill's very own grass sofa. It's really a barrier to stop the river behind me flooding out over the lawn and into the mill house as it's done so many times in the past. It's just nice to sit here and enjoy it really and listen to the river flowing. It's a very creative feeling, and I think the audiences share that with everyone who works here. The idea that people just come here for a little while, they flow through the building, they walk onto the stage, strut their stuff, and then they go away. They flow away to other places and other challenges, and that's really what the Watermill is all about, giving people those opportunities, letting them float along a little bit like a paper boat, and then watching them go off into the distance. It's a great place.
A river runs under it, and the river never stops. And if a drop of that river could be caught, held in a hand, tasted, smashed in a clap, and if that single drop was you in the palm of that hand, held in a moment between words, between a breath, then our wooden bridge has carried you.